Hey everybody, what's going on? I definitely know it's been a while since I've been up and having a conversation. So, for those that come through, I thank you for your patience and understanding. Yet, the reason why I haven't been on here for a while is simple. In life, we have a lot of ups and downs, good days, bad days. This is one of the bad days for me personally. Well, not personally today, but over the past few weeks. You know, we lost a loved one in the family, uh, a loved one in the community, things of that nature. But for me personally, this person wasn't maybe the greatest example of what was right and wrong for my family or the family in general. But we have to understand that, you know, a loss is a loss. We have to understand that, at the end of the day, good, bad, or indifferent, this family member was a person that affected the life of the family. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Young Riaz, good afternoon. How you feeling? Right? They may have been on the wrong side of the track, let's just say, right? They was doing things that, it gave them the wrong credibility, right? We understand that substance abuse is a thing within the world. And yet this family member was a part of that world. And yet still in all, I embrace people regardless to the fact. Glad to hear that. At the end of the day, you know, she may have been, she may have been going through her own trials and tribulations, her dark shadows, her losses, her whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm going to embrace my family regardless. I'm going to embrace my aunt with every fiber of my being because at the end of the day, she had an influence in the life. She's one of the rare people that can tell you to be observant, even though she was observant on the wrong side, right? She'll watch people just to see how I could come up off them, or how how can I do my little 1-2 step, right? Yet that's why I tell people you can learn from anyone. Commander, what up, Nine? You can learn from anyone. You could take the bad and just weed out the essentials of turning it into a good thing. So observation was something that she taught me at the earliest of ages. Even when we thought she wasn't paying attention, she was. I'll give you an example. One day we got a phone call at my house, and a parent called and said, "Well, you know, you Gary was doing this, that, and third. Gary put his hands on somebody." And then she just said, "Let me get this phone." And she took the phone from my grandmother and said, "Can you repeat what you just said?" And they repeated it. And she just came out and said, "Well, let me explain something to you. This boy right here, he only puts hands on somebody if somebody touches him." And I looked and I'm like, like, I never thought that you was paying attention to that type of situation, but that's just who I am. Like, even to this day, you could say anything you want to me. You could say, you know what I mean? You got a big head, or you can say the stupidest things to me, and plenty of y'all have seen it, right? It takes a lot for me to get off onto the other side of the track, for me to become that negative Nancy, for me to become violent or anything like that. For the most part, I think I'm cool, I'm calm. I may not be always collected, but I'm most of the time cool or calm. Yet she saw that, at the earliest of ages, and I gained a whole new respect for her. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning, you know, the life that she chose. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just telling you that even in the bad days or the bad parts of a situation, you can sense somebody's good attributes, right? Like the attribute of observing, the attribute of, even saying kind words, even if you are a person, that don't do as I say but do as I do type scenario. They can give you that advice but tell you not to follow me. I just gave you the advice because you may need it. And that's who she was for the family and the whole part, right? But even that loss, it took me down, it took me away, just because, as you get older, as you see a generation that's passing by you, you say to yourself, wow, what I mean? I lost my mom already. Now I just lost I lost my grandmother as well. And now I lost my aunt, right? This is all on my mom's side. And I'm saying to myself, damn, there's only one person left. And then after that, it's just us. It's just me and my brother and my cousins of this generation. That means the entire generation ahead of me is on its way out. So, it took me to a place, and I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to say that, even most men have emotions, but my emotions took me away from my spirituality. It took me away from, not questioning God, but just looking at him from a different perspective. You don't understand the ways of how God operates. You don't understand why for the most part you go into the why me mode, and anytime you go through a loss, you're gonna ask that question anyway. What did I do? How did this occur? Why do I deserve this? Why? Not to say that you're not ready, you're just not prepared. And sometimes when you in the fleshly person that we can be, we don't like to lose, right? And I don't care what it is. It could have been the worst thing to lose, but things that don't matter if you lose them, but you go through those situations, you go through it, and it's like, damn, auntie, you just left, and it's like there's no one here. You know what I mean? Like, and, and it hit me in a different manner. Like, damn, it's just us. Hey, cuz, be good. Sorry about your mom, this, that, and the third, but I need to be here. So I'm ripping and running through town, running up I-95, New York, Charlotte, and places like that, just to make sure that the family is okay. But at the same time, doing what I'm supposed to do in my spirit, my emotions start kicking in. I'm starting to feel sad. I'm feeling down. It's not even about trauma. It's just about the sadness of a situation, the sadness of a picture, and people would have normally given up on things like that. But I have to keep going because if I don't, I'll let the emotions win. I don't want to be emotional to the point where it stops me from going forward with everyday life. You know, and even I really had to take the time to sit to the side. Like, wait a minute, Miss Chicago, how are you? Good to see you. I had to sit back and really examine myself. Like, you shouldn't be sad. The expectations of losing a loved one. Kalani, what's going on with you? Right? You shouldn't. It shouldn't bother you as much. The expectation. She's an elder. She's a generation above me. So the expectation of people living, it shouldn't bother you. But the fleshly side of you, like I said, we just don't like to lose. We don't want to lose no one. We don't like to, I don't care who it is. You may not be the greatest of people in somebody's life, but you affected somebody in a way, shape, or form. So it's like, I just don't want to lose that. I don't want to, I don't want to, I just can't afford to lose right now. And yet still in all, we had to go through this, we had to go to this funeral, we had to go through, we went through so much. And at the same time, I've got another aunt who was on the same side, on my father's side, telling me she got a congestive heart failure, and she running back and forth to the hospital, and there's certain things that she got to wear the oxygen mask and so on. So I'm like, yo, you're being bombarded from both sides, right? And I found it amazing because I'm like, wait a minute, did I not just fast? Did I not just overcome a situation? But it just reminded me, just because you go through the fast, the trials and tribulations is still going to come afterwards. And it really put me into a perspective like, wait a minute, life still goes on, even if you're fasting, even if you're going through those things, right? Life is still going for you. It's happening around you, it's happening to you, right? And you try to draw support from the family and loved ones, whether it's on the app or outside of the app. But sometimes you just need to go into your secret place and really try to gather strength. You try to gather your composure. You try to gather the things that you need to do to go forward on this very day, right? And like I said, this was a few weeks ago, but like, things have been occurring since that time. Now thank goodness that my aunt, she made, she has been given a good report afterwards. But the shaking of a thing is always going to be a part of the world. The shake up is it's just it's it's very hard to explain. And the fact that I have to go through it is one thing. The fact of trying to explain the emotional part of it is it's very hard. Appreciate you, Miss Chicago. Appreciate you, Kaylani. It it's just something that you can't explain. It really, like, you try to find the words, and it seems like it get stuck. It don't get stuck in your mind because you say so much. Your mind is racing. Your conscience is telling you to go forward. All of the spiritual side is telling you be strong, be this, be that. Yet at the same time, the flesh is telling you to sit still. Sit still because you got to sit in this. You got to go through this. A loss is a loss. We understand that part. But yet at the same time, you try to do the right thing because I still love you. That's my aunt. That's your mom. I can't possibly. Well, I can't understand what you went through because I went through this myself. We said this. Whether we're young or old, people tell us to prepare for these type of things. You can't prepare for this. How could you prepare for this? You would have to be an emotionless person to not, to sit there and go through these type of situations. I don't care. You only get one mother. I don't care. You only get one father. So no matter how much you prepare for it, if it's terminally ill situation, whatever it is, you're never going to prepare for that type of loss. I don't care. Well, 90% of us is not going to prepare for that loss. I'm not going to say everyone because everyone does not have the same emotional standards. There are people walking around with no spirits and no emotions because they just never tapped into it or whatever the case may be. But for me, it's been rough because my emotions has been draining. It's been draining me spiritually. It takes away from my spirituality. It takes away from me being the person that I need to be. And it's maybe a momentary situation. But we can't sit there and say how long that moment's going to be. Right? Like I said, I lost this relative a month ago. And I'm coming through, but I'm not coming through, right? I'm still around, but I'm not around. I'm just lurking like, damn. And it's just because, that person's not here anymore. It's just because you can't, you can't, now you're going to start the emotional memory type of scenario. Hey, Gary, I told you I love you. Da, 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 da. All right, but I'm gonna kick your ass. And you go through the funny things that she would say, or this is my case, the funny things that she may say to me, and like, hey, You gotta get your shit together. And you would look back at her like, you got some damn nerve. You telling me to get my shit together and you ain't never had your shit together. But you understood what was meant. Because just because they're going through their dilemmas, right? Like I said, she had substance. She was a substance abuse. She abused substances, right? Just because they go through that, it does not mean they don't care about you. It does not mean that they don't love you. It just means that they can't overcome their situation. It doesn't mean that they don't want the best for you. It doesn't mean that they don't want the best for themselves. It just means that they can't overcome their situation. And that alone is maybe what is draining me the most. Because sometimes, people say, pray for a person. You could pray for a person all day, all night. But if they don't accept the prayer, if they don't believe that the prayer is worth, looking into or trying to live up to, it doesn't make a difference. It won't make a difference. You know how many people you pray for? Like right now, so many people are praying for these situations overseas to stop. But they gotta want that. The person that you pray for got to want that. So you could pray to your heart. Your heart is full of knowing that they need this prayer. But if they don't accept it, it don't mean a hill of beans. And it's just the way of the world. Like I said, it's the way of the world. We have to live in the world, but of course we don't have to be of it. But not everybody understands that philosophy, or not everybody understands what that truly means. People are just being here just because they have to be here. They don't have to renew their minds. They don't have to renew their life. They don't have to fix nothing. This is why a lot of the times I always tell people, if you're going to change, if you're going to improve your life, do it. Don't sit there and complain about it. Don't sit there and, I'm fighting, I'm still doing the best that I can. No, because if you're doing the best that you can, your best will outweigh your worst. Because that's something that most of us want. The best of us, the best of you, the best of me, the best of us is what we would really strive for if that's what we truly wanted. But there are so many people that is so comfortable in the nonsense that they sit in that, you know, it's very hard for us for us to watch that person. A lot of people live off of expectations or perception that they may see in another person, and that, like I said, that is a draining situation as well, because you know that this person has it in them. You know that this person has that great qualification. But if they don't see it for themselves, what good is it trying to talk them up, lift them up, allow their agility to elevate, or their mobility as far as elevating themselves to elevate. It doesn't matter to them. They don't see it. And that alone is a draining situation. It takes away from you, because it doesn't matter how much you want that person to be their better version of themselves. They got to want that. I don't care if it's the Queen of England, or it's just that poor person, that homeless person that is at your corner, right? You could say, look, I'll take you to get something to eat, and try to encourage them. They only looking at what's for them today. You see what I'm saying? And we as people, we got to stop all of this. We got to stop this, because, we should be trying our best to get over the hurdle, get over the hump. And me personally, I had to get over this emotional situation, because I can't be who I am if I'm staying the emotional person that I am. So, like I said, it's a very trying situation, to overcome that. But sometimes you just gotta say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of feeling the way that I'm feeling. And now, slowly but surely, I'm gaining myself up. But even when you gain yourself, or you try to, take that step forward, another situation comes into play into your life. Now, this is not personally affecting me, but it is affecting people that I know. I don't know if you guys have been watching social media and things like that. In Jamaica, Queens, a 15-year-old boy was jumped and killed, and and it was tragic, right? Uh, but now that I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm sitting there hearing the situation. I'm hearing the name. I know that kid. I know that kid's family. And it's like, well, I'll be damned. As soon as you try to overcome a situation, another situation comes up. The boy was 15 years old. We don't know what caused that situation. I don't care what caused that situation. Now I have to, you know, say condolences to his family, his grandparents, his aunts and uncles, his mom and dad. You send the condolences out, and traveling back home. You want the best for people, but when these situations comes up, it's just it's so heartbreaking. It's like, well, how are we supposed to overcome this? You know, no parent wants to bury their child, right? And now I know these parents have to bury their son for whatever reason. Whether we it doesn't matter. You burying your son. They got to bury their son. And now you try to be, hey, yo, whatever I could do to help, you know what I mean? And sometimes, and we all could be honest, when we going through those stages, we hear you, but we ain't listening to the shit that you saying. If there's anything I could do to help, no, we ain't trying to hear that. And it's all because we're grieving, we're mourning, we're in an emotional place, we're in an emotional drainage place, because we just lost one, right? And in this case, they lost a child. This child didn't even have a chance to get into his life, right? 15. Now I'm sitting there looking like, damn, because my son is 16. That could have been my son. That could have been my son just sitting there doing whatever at a basketball court. He gets into a situation, and now I would have to be burying my son. I would not know what to do with myself. There's nothing that anyone could say to make me feel okay about that. That's a drainage that no one would really, I wouldn't wish that on an enemy. But yet here we are. We go through these losses, and we'll turn around and ask God, why is this occurring? God, and sometimes, we're so emotional that we're not even expecting God to answer the question back to you. We're not expecting them to say anything. You're just gonna go through this, and it's sad because we know that a lot of people will say, you know what, God, since you ain't there for me, I don't believe in you no more. I don't think you exist, and do this and do that. And now we walk away from the spiritual side of what God has in store for us. And and that and let's be honest, because we are human beings, we are in the flesh, we live in the fleshly manner. A lot of people say, I get it, I understand it. Because they don't have the spiritual strength to fight the emotions of sadness, the sadness of the trauma of losing somebody. And it takes you time. It takes time, and people don't want to take that time to overcome that situation. No one can tell somebody how to grieve. That's not the purpose of why I'm saying it. What I'm saying is, it just hurts so much, and when it hurts so much, there's no band-aid to fix the emotional situation that you're going through. I don't care what spiritual attribute that you go through. The emotional side can overcome your spiritual well-being. And for me personally, that's what happened. That's what happened to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I gotta, you finding your way back. Gotta get over this. You gotta get over this. You gotta get over this. It's easier said than done. Just like if you improving or changing your life, it's easier said than done. You gotta get up and do it. You gotta get up and put this thing in motion, right? Even if I go I go over to Mr. 33 Sports Chat channel. I don't even feel like being over there, because it's not. I'm not in my right frame of mind to be over there, to have those conversations, to put content up. That's why I haven't put content up over here, because it just hurts, right? And anybody that said they overcome it quickly, God bless you. I'm not one of them people. I am a person that loves, and when I love hard, right? Many people might say I haven't gotten over a woman that told me I'm not the right man for her, but I gave it my all. I could accept that. Maybe that's not the place. That's not the woman for me. That's not the right person for me. But this type of laws, how do you overcome that? It's not because they don't belong. They don't belong here or anything like that. It's just a part of life. It's human nature for people to pass on. It's also human nature for people to not want to lose somebody. That's the stage that I was in. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like, damn, auntie, I just know you wasn't well, but I'd rather you like I can get selfish. This is the one time I will not promote being selfish. I would rather you be here in pain than not being here so I can't see you. That is a selfish attribute. I don't think it's right. I know it's not right, but that's what a lot of situations call for when you in your fleshly manner. Damn, auntie, damn, cuz, damn. Like, I wish you was still here. Damn, mommy, I wish you was still here. It's not going to happen. Some people may tell you to get over it. You can't tell me how to grieve or get over something like that. That loss is painful. Some of these people are integral parts of other people's lives. Like I said, that 15-year old young man. His mama, how is she supposed to overcome that? How is the daddy supposed to overcome that? How is that family to overcome that? That boy didn't even get a chance to live life. And yet here we are telling people how to grieve, how to get, we got to get over it. Man, y'all go sit yourself down somewhere. We got to understand, man, that there are people that's going to have to get, their trauma is their trauma. For that family, that is that's a fresh trauma. Their emotion has got to be at the all-time low. I'm not condoning revenge, but I would understand why they would want revenge, because that's their child. Right? This is what I'm saying. The emotions will take you further and further away from the spirituality of the peace that you have been searching for. Just a simple loss can do that. It's done it to me. I can't imagine what that family's going through. For them, they will have a negative piece saying my vengeance of taking that person that took my son away. I'm not gonna have any peace until that's resolved. That just goes to show you how the emotions could trample your spirituality. And like I said, as a parent, I would be feeling the same way. It's just so hard to overcome. It's so hard to fight it, especially when you don't have God in your life, or you're not striving for the spiritual uplifting to get over a situation like that. And then what's the next step? Right? What are we gonna do about this? How do we get through these type of things? Right? It's the support from people, the support from these people here, Miss Chicago or Young Weaz, or the people in the bushes, the people that's listening, and then they'll reach out like, damn, Gary, my condolences. I appreciate Kalani. I appreciate all of that. Right? Sometimes just talking about it, being an ear. Right now, you guys are my ears. And I appreciate everybody that's listening to me. Not because I want you to hear how heartfelt this is. It's not about that. It's just about sometimes when you hold on to something too long, we know that pressure will bust pipes, right? And the pressure of a loss can take you away from your sanity. It could take you from your your place of being a person that cares to a person that now I don't give a damn right now. I don't give a damn anymore. All because you are depressed because you are going through an emotional situation. And this is where we lean on people. This is where we're supposed to lean on people. You ain't got to say not a word. Sometimes it's just you just listening and all right, well, you got that off your chest. Okay, so I can't tell you how to grieve, but if you need that lending ear, I'm here for you. That's all it may take for somebody. Right? And then, okay, I got that off my chest. Now I can start working my way back to where I was. How do I live for the legacy of the person that I just lost? So on and so forth. Right? It's just that portion that we need for us to go forward. Now as you continue to get you're wiping your grievance or your grievance away with doing some work that's going to make you take your mind off of that loss. And it's because somebody listened to me. Miss Chicago was here listening to me. Kaylani was there listening to me. Riaz was listening to me. Now I can go forward. Now I can gain a little bit of strength to be the person that I was before the tragedy happened, or the loss of a family member happened, or whatever the situation, the trauma has occurred. I can take the step towards where I once was. Now everything may not be you can return back to where you used to be. I understand that as well. But if you'll never know if you don't take those steps towards, healing. And when you don't get to heal, it allows that emotion, that trauma to stay there even longer. That's why when I say stagnation kills things, you have to understand, even when in an emotional loss, if you sit there long enough, that trauma will be the thing that's going to keep you away from you going forward in life. That's why stagnation kills momentum. Because if you stay there long enough, it becomes an anchor, a ball to your ankle, and you can't move because you're stuck where you at. You're sitting there worrying about that doom and gloom that has already occurred. It's easy for somebody to say, well, you keep talking about it ain't going to change nothing. But me talking about it ain't going to make me overcome it either sometimes, because I don't have nobody to talk to, because nobody wants to hear it, and so on and so forth. That's why when you see your strongest person, you gotta check on them, because your strongest person can become weak in a blinking of eye, right? And I do understand when the Bible says when you are weak, then you are strong. I get that, but it doesn't specify at what moment does that occur. Does it happen when you have to bury a loved one? Does it happen when you got a loved one that's terminally ill? Does it happen? You know what I mean? Like, we can't specify when it happens, but we know in time we're gonna have to find our way back. Now the question is, how do you find your way back? Not how long, because somebody could get over it. All right, I'm over it, right? Like, it's so many people that go through these situations without shedding a tear because they so used to the loss. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm so used to loss that it doesn't bother me physically, but emotionally, you sit there and think back. Damn, my mama, my grandmother, my aunt, my brother. Like, damn, like how many more losses can I go through, right? But if you don't have that encouragement from friends and family, right? And even if you say the most gentlest of things, we can hear you, but are we listening to you? That's the thing. We have to be strong for that person, even if they're not with us. We just gotta be present. Be present in that person's life. Be present for the person that lost somebody. Just sit there. If you don't got nothing to say, just sit there. Right? Just sit, just that's the best support that you can get somebody. Go to their house, go check on them. Hey, you good? You good? You good? I'm getting phone calls, and I just let them talk. You good, and then I'll say something, and they'll just let me talk. because they understand I don't reach out to I don't reach out to people like that. But if I call you, there's something wrong. Maybe that's my cry for help. Maybe that's why well, Gary called me, so I know something wrong. He called me not to check up on me. He just called me and not even saying nothing. There's something wrong there. I hope that's how people view me. I hope that's how you just know a person when they're going through something. And the fact of the matter is, you know, I don't care how strong I am. I could be at my weakest point, and ain't no strong person gonna really ask for help in this type of manner. This is why I appreciate people that check on me. This is why I love people that check on me, and I will go hard for those people that check on me. Why? Because it's the little things that matter. Even though I know nothing you may say may help me get out of this funk, but the fact that you cared enough for me, it may inspire me to say, you know what, I need to get up and do what I do normally. I need to get up here and just talk about encouraging people. But if you don't have that function in you to encourage yourself, why would people listen to you encourage them other people? You're in a funk. So this is why I decided to come up here today and just have this conversation. Um, you know, I didn't want anybody to think that, I'm giving up or, it's anything of that manner. I will be back. I promise you that. I will be back. I will be my happy, chipper self. I will be over there on Sports Chat doing it up with the fellas. Realist, what's going on with you? Right? I'll be over there. I'll be in the places that I normally go to. But I just had to overcome this loss. And special shout out, at this time, let me shout out my guy KK47. Uh his family is going through that situation that I was talking about earlier. Uh as that was his nephew. And just knowing that family. We grew up together. I know what they had to overcome to be the people that they are today. And for them, this has to be the most hardest thing that they have experienced by far. To lose that child, to lose that, you know what I mean? To sit there and continuously watch that. For those that please stop circulating that video, right? Because we have to remember that there's a family that's going through that situation. There's a family that has to sit there and watch that tragedy. And like I said, that's my hometown. And like I said, I do know that family. And I'm grieving with that family because that's a loss that no one could possibly fathom. You know what I'm saying? And yet, you know, they're asking you to stop, continuously show that, and I understand that too. This is why I'm saying with that drainage happen, that emotional drain comes, and then now we could amplify the emotion even more by sending that video continuously. Well, that video got 500,000 views. That hurts. That hurts. That family has got this. That family looks at that number like, dang, 500,000 people saw this situation. It's time for us to develop to be greater people, because now it's affecting our children. Even when your children are doing the right thing, wrong seems to follow them. That's an emotional thing that people may not be able to get over either. We have to find a way to overcome. We have to find a way to become better versions of ourselves. Right? We don't know what that kid was going. We don't know what those kids were going through at that situation. I don't even want to know why. The fact of the matter is that kid is no longer here. That family is no longer, they lost their cousin, they lost their son, they lost their grandson. What it probably was over a bunch of nonsense. You know what I mean? It was probably over a bunch of nonsense, and yet, and still in all, that family lost that child. And like I said, I don't care how spiritual you are. I don't care how much you love the Lord, how much you pray to Allah, how much Buddha is rocking in your life. That is always going to be a tough pill to swallow. That will take so much from you. You probably won't even think of a you probably won't think of a God for a long period of time. Because you're gonna say, my God, what have you taken from me? Job questioned God. We're gonna question God as well. The greatest thing about Job is that he didn't lose his faith in God. Not everybody is as strong as Job though. The emotions does kick in. Emotion does tell you, you know what, man, we're gonna shut down, we're gonna cry, we're gonna weep, we're gonna moan, we're gonna do the things that a person that lost a loved one is going to do. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm ranting. I'm just telling you how it feels from a person that is grieving, that their emotions is taking over everything in their daily life right now. You know what I mean? There's people out there, they probably going through it so much they're not grooming their hair. They probably got beards and mustaches. Most men will just grow out their beard because they're going through a situation. Right? Some females will probably just stay indoors because they're going through a situation. That's how much emotion can control your life. And it can control your life so much that you are no longer the spiritual person that you were trying to be in the first place. It happens to the best of us. It will happen to all of us at one point in time. I'm just here, because I haven't given up. I'm getting up on my standing eight count. I'm still here, but I might be punch drunk because the emotions is still around me. The freshness of the loss is still here. Right? And that's why I appreciate the corner man not throwing the towel in, a Miss Chicago, a realist, a word, a logical thinker, young Riaz. I'm glad y'all didn't throw the towel because I may be woozy right now, but I can still stand. And the fact that you ain't throw that towel in on me, it means you didn't give up on me, and I appreciate that. Even if you didn't understand why I was gone for this long period of time, I say thank you. I do appreciate you. It makes me say I even love you the more, not because I am in a grieving state right now. I'm saying it because I mean it. That word, that love word, it may be thrown around loosely, but I don't throw it around to just somebody. I don't throw it around. Commander as well. I don't throw it away at all. Because I know my commander, she's got, Gary, where's the faith? I still got it, Commander. It's just not taking over the way it's supposed to right now. And, I'm pretty sure you understand where I'm going with it. I just had to come up and have this conversation for that reason. I will never lose faith. Right now, the faith is being blocked by the emotional situations that I'm going through. But understand that I just got up my standing eight count. Commander ain't throw that towel in. HR's been closed for a while, but we know she ain't gonna throw that towel in. And I truly appreciate her not doing that. And that's why I appreciate all of y'all. Nobody else is grabbing that towel, say, yo, I think he's done. He don't have us punch his chance. That alone is going to get me to where I need to be, because you have the understanding of hey, he's going through it right now. I've lost a kid, and that's one of the worst things you can ever experience as a parent. But I also know that I still grieve, but I know I have to go on and live life without them. It's hard. Now, I agree with that. Now, like I said, the aunt that I just lost, her daughter lost a son in a senseless act. That's why I felt it necessary. Like, yo, if I'm feeling this way, I know she got to feel 10 times as bad. Not only is she burying her mother, which is natural, she had to bury her son. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn. And he was only, she was, that was senseless too. But what I'm saying is, sometimes you just need that someone to just, you know what, I'm here, cuz I'm here, buddy. I'm here, sis. I'm here, bro. Just let it all out. And that's what you guys are giving me. And that's why I appreciate the support that I get on here. That's why when they tell me that, hey, you can't find no good people on here, they's a damn lie. They're a liar, and sometimes the truth ain't in them. In that case, the truth ain't in them at all. Because there's a lot of great people here. You know what I mean? And sometimes your presence, like I tell Miss Chicago all the time, you may not be here all the time, but once I see that name kick in, I'm like, okay, I know something good is gonna happen because she don't come around here with mess. She don't stay around for the mess because we don't have mess over here. So I know her energy is gonna say, you know what? My apologies, Gary. It's time for you. Take your time. Blase, blase, blah. And that's when you know you in the right place at the right time because you guys are here. You giving me the strength to just let this out. I would have done this with nobody here, but there are people speaking back to me. Not just saying, condolences, but let it out, Gary. Keep talking, Gary. You finish. When you finish, we'll have another conversation at another time. And I am very appreciative. I am very appreciative of what's going on. Right? People may not understand that. People may not agree with it. I don't care. This is why if you trying to find a blessing, you got to stay out of the mess. Even in your mess, you could find a blessing from somebody here. Like a commander, like a Miss Chicago, like a realist, like a Riaz. And those people in the background. Y'all don't have to say nothing. I just appreciate you listening. Allow me to get this off my chest. I've done it with the family. Guess what? You guys are family too. Whether we understand that, we don't have to be relatives in order to be a family. Family is just people that you're familiar with. And even though I've never laid eyes on a bunch of you guys, I am very familiar with you because your energy and the people that you are on this thing is worthy enough to say I can agree with Miss Chicago. I can agree with Commander. I can agree with Realist and Riaz and the Word and Kaylani and all of these people. Because if you know energy, if you know spirits, if it's on one accord, you have to lock in. You have to sync with it. And so that's what you guys have given me today. I definitely appreciate you guys, showing up, coming through. This is, like I said, if it sounds like a rant, I apologize. I'm just getting something off my chest. Once again, my condolences to KK-47 and his family. That's a good brother. I seen his metamorphosis. I seen his growth. I seen the elevation in his life. I just, I just want to send my condolences to him as I already have in private, and I will do it in public. I'm not, who I am now is who I am before this or after this. And I know, like I said, it's a tough loss. You see your nephew going through that type of situation, and I know him. I'm praying for him, especially him, because we don't want him to be like Randy Orton and hear voices in his head. Those voices wasn't kind to him before, and they definitely wouldn't be kind for him now. Lisa J, Good morning. We still in the morning time. So, I just, like I said, I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate everybody listening to me, even if it sounds like a rant. I truly appreciate you. I will be back with some more gumption now that I'm getting this thing off of my chest. If people don't learn how to speak on grief, the grief becomes harder to get out of it. It forms a black hole, but at the end of the day, we can get through anything. Our mind, our body, and our spirits have to align, and that's what I'm saying. Because even if you go through this type of situation, if you go through a tragic loss, just a loss in general, you know what I mean? You have to understand that you need to get that off your chest. You need that person that's just going to be that ear for you to vent to, and then they will allow you the process of going forward. That's why we love Miss Chicago, because she can give you this type of understanding, and she'll hear you out, and she'll be all right. Now we going through this, and we're gonna overcome that. And I'm still around if you need me. And like I said, she may not be in every chat. She may not be on every live. But when she comes through, I know that energy, that goodness, that encouraging spirit, it dwells with her. So because of that, when I see her, it's always a blessing to have her in the presence. Right? Oh, I'm in her presence. Let me rephrase that. Because she's that type of person. You know what I mean? And it's just heartwarming when you have people like that in your corner. So, don't take those people for granted. Even if you are at your lowest point, we can't forget that those people that want the best for you are still in the vicinity. And we have to embrace them as they are embracing us, even at our toughest of times. But we're going to have to figure out how to not allow the emotional weight of the world to keep us from the spiritual part of our lives. So with that being said, y'all, I truly appreciate y'all coming through. Like I said, everybody that's here, I thank you. I love you. And more importantly, y'all continue to be blessings, because you don't know what somebody's going through. Check on them strong people, like I said. They may be strong now, but they may be at their weakest because they may be going through an episode that has never happened to them, and they may not be able to stand up for themselves emotionally. Y'all check on them people. As y'all sat here and listened to me, what y'all did was y'all checked on me whether I asked or not. Y'all came through, y'all listened, and for that I am eternally grateful. But like I said, I will be back shortly, and the tone of this voice will not be where it's at today at the next live, y'all. With that being said, I appreciate y'all coming through. I'll see you guys later. Y'all check Sports Chat out later. He'll be talking about basketball and the whole WrestleMania situation. Y'all check him out tonight. He'll be there, and so will I. I'll see y'all then.